He's now the only Republican candidate for that post.
Well, we don't have a filing deadline until the 18th of February, so maybe we can revisit it after that.
Are you encouraging someone else to take your place as the person who would be a conservative candidate for Attorney General?
My sole goal right now is to maintain the auditor's seat, member of the apportionment board, and that's the task in front of me. I would say that they're completely wrong. I do not consider the party's wishes or the impact on other races when I made my decision. I also did not look for what was best for me in the sense of being most gratifying. Look, one of the things that people told me many times over the last few days as I was contemplating this is, you need to do what's right for you, Dave. And I don't think so. I think when a public official steps up and is asking for a job, they're doing more than just advancing. They ought to be doing more than just advancing a career, picking the thing that they think would be the coolest job. I think that they ought to be asking themselves, how can I best serve? And that they ought to be putting their personal desires aside to answer that question, and that's what I did here.
Do you think the statement said that Mary's decision not to run left the party the ticket without a viable candidate? Do you think State Representative Morgan would not be a viable candidate if he had not entered this?
Yes, I guess that's what that means. And I buy that. I don't mean to demean his credentials, which are fantastic. Look, I was in Southwest Ohio with the representative on a campaign swing a few weeks ago. I have very high regard for him. The fact of the matter is, this is a huge state. I've spent the last year traveling the length and breadth of it. It is amazing how many different kinds of people there are, and the way, the diversity and the way they make their living and live their lives. It takes relationship building, it takes listening, it takes organization to run a statewide race, and those ballots are going to begin to be cast 8 months from today. I just don't know that there is enough time. Having done this, I don't know if there's enough time for anybody to step up for a first time and begin running statewide with only 8 months. I point out to a good friend of mine, Mike Kreitz, who tried to do this with a 4-month lead time and just didn't do well. I just don't think it's possible.
Getting into the race at this moment in time, do you think that puts you at a disadvantage to David Pepper?
No.
Why not?
Well, first of all, because Mr. Pepper has some distinct disadvantages, including pledging not to raise property taxes, and then he did. But beyond that, I have been all over this state and working hard, gotten to know people, and I think that our campaign is right on track.
During your discussions with party leadership about making this switch, was there any discussion at that time about the importance of this race to the apportionment board in 2011?
I would say that that was clearly the elephant in the room. I don't know that anybody really had to talk about it. It's clearly an important seat.
And was it important to you?
Yes.
Why?
Because I want to see fair lines drawn. And after the spectacle that I've seen in Washington for the last year, the Cornhusker kickback, the Louisiana Purchase, the wanton selling and buying of votes, I don't have any confidence whatsoever that the other side will draw anything even remotely approaching fair lines for the legislative districts.
Now that you're running for a seat on the apportionment board, have you taken a stand on redistricting reforms such as what Senator Houston proposes?
You know, I'm studying the issue. It's complex. I know that Senator Houston has a plan out there. I haven't had an opportunity to really consider the implications of it. So redistricting reform is something that will be in a public debate this year, and I expect to be able to discuss it more depth at another time.